I've done quite a bit to this already since the first tutorial, which you'll find on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to do some more of it and get towards the finishing stage. So I'm just sort of blurring in some shadow here for this picture, sort of picture stand thing. Just need a bit of shadow on it on this flat surface. So that's what I'm going to do, using my various blues that I've already been using, and just keeping on with the blurring. And yeah, with this piece, yeah, I'm doing a lot of sort of blurring and mixing, a bit of sort of shadow under there. And but I think it's looking great. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm enjoying doing this frozen effect. But yeah, to save me getting any sort of watermark lines, imagine it being sort of watermark paints, and if you stop at a section like I stopped here, that's going to be a watermark line, which is not what I want. But because I've got objects in between, I can take it section by section. Just using my various shades, the same shades that I'm using throughout the whole thing. And what's lovely is, you know, having blues in the as the background, and basically the blues on everything, or making the white stand out even more. So how I've done all these sections here is the same sort of technique in terms of just blurring and flooding things over, you know, one after another, not letting things dry too much, and therefore I'm creating this shadow. And the effect works better once it's obviously drying out, but so that, you know, I get a bit more blurred as I go. Get in there. Get in there. We're not icy here today. It's rainy here today in Devon. To prevent any watermark drying lines in this bit, I'm just gonna flood this over a bit more darker on that, a bit under there. I'm trying to remember to put my lids on as I go, even though it's not that bad, because I seem to be obviously using the markers more or less straight away, but I still like to remember to put my lids on. Don't ever want to forget and have them dry out. So I've kind of done this little section here, which is going to dry out okay. And then we've got the shadow from the picture frame, so that will dry out in a second. I'm going to have a go at this little heart gem thing here on the picture frame, using a few different blues. I'm Oh, this one's the fine tip, but that's okay. Let me come in with some colourless, blur some of that together, and just to be a bit different, I'm going to come in with a little bit of yellow down here. Don't know whether I'll be happy with that. I'll soon find out. I'm not happy with it yet. I'll just get the brush tip. I'm going to try and blur, smudge these in a bit. Yeah, I'm flooding a lot with this colourless blender. I really do like doing that when I want something really blurry and smudgy, and it's great if you've made, you know, mistakes, and you can blur and smudge it into colours to smudge it out. That's looking alright for a moment. Might have a bit more dark in here. And then smudge that out a little bit. Yeah, I'll see how that goes when it dries, but I do need to do the inside of this picture frame. So I'm just going to scribble with this really light colour, which is what I used for the main background, and the lightest of all the blue shades that I've been using. Come in with a bit of a darker blue coming in from the edges, and yeah, very mixed up and sporadic to add to the frosty feel of it. And then I'm gonna again blur all that, which it'll blur anyway because they're all wet at the moment, but blur it even more and go over the entire shape so that I'm not getting some watermarks, and perhaps a little darker in a couple of the edges, and then blur it all out again. It's fun working fast and quick like this. It's looking okay. Looking okay. It's not finished. I've still got lots to do on this. Lots to do. But I'm majority of the way through this picture. So it's fun getting to the end stages. I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to have a break in a minute. And I'll come back to it in a second when that's dry. See you in a second. So many bits. I'm switching from area to area. But never mind. I'm just doing it the way it feels. I'm going to put some frosted bits on here, smudge a few bits. This white paint pen, I'm using Posca. This is quite a thick tip on this. I've got a couple of ones that are thin tip and thick tip, suit for different purposes. But you know, some people like gel pens and different brands, and that's fine. Just do what you're comfortable with and what you've got used to and what works best for you. It's always a good thing. Do what ones work good with you. But yeah, I want some dotty, snowy bits. Smudge, you can smudge with Q-tips, I do that sometimes. But smudging with a finger works good. And yeah, if you make a mistake, just go over it with a bit of your pens. This is going okay. Just building up the frosty feel. But now I'm quite happy with how this has been going. Still got other areas to do. I'm gonna do a bit more on here, down the drips coming off the ledge. I've got this background to do in a smudgy thing like this, and if I want, I could have a bit of a cluster of snow bits dotted on the background. They fall in a cluster. See how that looks. Smudge it if I'm not too thrilled. Yep, going okay. And this is still an experiment for me. I mean, I've not done a frosty, frozen type picture like this ever before, and you know, you could say, is it overboard? I got too much because it's exactly all the same, but actually that's the fun of it, and I'm using exactly the same pens and you know, materials, and so my pens are all laid out here exactly the same. I don't have to worry about what colours I'm going to do and for a different section, and so far I'm really pleased with it, and hopefully as I keep going it's only going to get better until the finish line. So yeah, we will see. But so far, so good. And like I say, if you make a mistake, just put some smudgy or a dotted pile of snow on it, or an icicle, as I've already shown you how to do them. You know, put an icicle on it if something's not sitting right with you. Cover it up. Hey, so I'm going to try and do this part all in one, this background, the sort of bench table section, and hopefully it'll go all right, because it is a large section and clearly I want it to be smooth, so I'm going to have to work fast and try and keep this as kind of wet as I can. Blurring colours. I'm kind of not fully putting the lids on my pens. It's going to really mess up if one of my pens runs out, which it better not do, because I'll be not very happy. So I'm getting a bit darker stuff going on under there, and then come in with a lighter colour here to blur the darker bit, and I still want it even darker actually, so I'm going to go for my darkest blue out of the colours that I've been using. Went into that shape a bit, right, and blur that in. already things are drying out, so it's not going to plan. But it's a large area, and I'm doing tone shadows, so there's lots of room for error, and I don't want to spread out the shadow too much. So let's go in with colourless again around these edges. It's definitely, yeah, definitely. I've just checked the colourless on scrap paper at the side, and there's definitely ink in here. But like I say, I've got a few colourless alcohol markers in reserve. I bought an extra pack of them because well, for stuff like this I'm getting through a lot of fluid. So I'm spreading this down here a bit, and now I want to come in with some little bits and bobs areas and then blur those out. I said they'll blur more as they dry, just so it's not just a plain background. It's got various tones in it. If you do mess up, really, you can, as said here, just add, you know, a bit of a clump of snow, icicle or something. So just change the shade a bit just to vary the tones. The whole point of doing this is so it's not blank, so it has got different tones and shade and shadow underneath things, a bit of interest. It looks too blank, doesn't it, here, where there's, you know, just completely nothing going on. Yeah, and that, because that's darker, that's going to smudge out really good with me going over. And yeah, I am lucky, I've got two narrow areas here, so, you know, if that wasn't here, it'd be harder to not get, you know, like the watermark type stains. More colourless. Right, and here is where I'm going to have a shadow. So you can see the colourless, it's going on, and all it does is wet it with fluid that's not got any ink in it. Yeah, it can make this colour a tiny shade darker, but I've not got a problem with that at all. And if I don't have shadows under some objects, well, they're just going to look like they're floating, which is not what I want. Plus, I obviously want to sort of show up some, you know, ice texture, so that it's not just a smooth flat bench or worktop or table. So I'm trying to keep always the leading edge wet to try and avoid as much as possible having any watermarks and having to go over a lot of it again. So I've put a dark colour there, so I'm gonna, while it's all wet, smudge that out. This might seem like a lot of work, but it's actually quite fun. The hardest part of this, to be honest, is knowing that I'm filming myself and I'm trying really hard not to mess up. That's that's the hardest part of it for me anyway. Right, even darker. That doesn't have to be totally smooth, that bit. Right, here we go. Getting down to the last bits. Not happy with that blur, so I'm going to put some more colourless on it. And then I'm going to have a bit of variation of colour in this bit. Stop it being so flat and boring. I haven't put colourless all over that bit yet, but I'm going to in a second. Here we go. And actually this is a lot of sort of movement of your fingers or wrists, but I'm basically using, it's not, you know, it's not precise as pencil. I'm using the action of my elbow or forearm, I suppose, rather than precise with my fingers, just letting the pen rest in my hand, but allowing my wrist, sorry, my elbow and forearm to kind of do the main action, and then it's not all any more pressure on my wrist. I might go a bit darker under here. Shadow right beneath the box. There we go. Okay, I'm all right with that, and that needs to dry a bit, and then I can have a breather, a break, and come back to it. So I'm excited to finish this off. I'm getting to the end stages. I'm going to do some dotty, like some settled frost or snow along this ridge with more of the white paint pen. Hope you can see that. I'm just holding the edge down. I printed this picture out on my printer, and yeah, it's quite a freeing thing in terms of, you know, you put your icicles where you want it. You want to get your lights and shades right of the blues. You know, we've got sort of shadow coming on this side, so that's darker inside because there's a slight hitting light in this piece is coming kind of from this direction. And then we've got this that we've done the worktop so that it's not just flat and boring, and you know, I've showed you how I did that and trying to do it all as one piece, so it was didn't have any, you know, watermark lines in it, so that was quite fun. And then the icicles, when you're doing something like this, you know, you can place them, obviously place them wherever you want. I mean, I couldn't have one going down here because it would have to go across here, wouldn't it, because it hit the deck. So you know, make sure everything just fit is in perspective. Obviously down here these can go longer because it, you know, there's nothing there, it goes down. So yeah, I'm doing base layer with white, just sort of opaque, and then I can introduce more white and also some marker pen so that it's not just white. And that needs to dry just a touch. So they've dried and it's only one layer, so it means it's a bit transparent, bit opaque. So I can go in with a touch of a blue, one of my light medium blue shades, and just tamper it down, excuse me, a little bit. And this will mean that me doing some little highlights or low lights, you know, shadow, the white will show up more. So this is doing all right. And just to show you, I can have a bit of, you know, make it stand out a bit more with a sharp pencil. Smudge that up a bit, if that's, make some of the tips a bit whiter. Vary your icicles, yeah, I don't have them all exactly the same. You want to vary it so it looks more realistic. I need to do some more on down here, but you know, it's getting there. Maybe some little bits under here. And, you know, dabbing, doing this sort of thing, dabbing softens it. So yeah, a bit more under the bottom bit in a bit. So with just a few little frosty bits here and there, I think we're done. I'm happy with it, I'm pleased with it. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. And as I said, it's very freeing feeling technique to try. So yeah, give it a go. And don't forget, I'm on, follow me on my YouTube channel, my Facebook page is Helen Claire Art. You'll see in the links and things. And yeah, I've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching and drawing along with me. And I'll get on to another project now. So see you soon.